on a poll on Twitter a while ago, I actually asked what musician or group would you like me to talk about and how I got into. Now, I gave like four choices. It was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Radiohead, Chaos the Rapper, and Green Day. And you guys wanted me to talk about Green Day, so here we go. Now, this was in elementary school. I didn't listen to a lot of rock music. I just listened to rap and rock. Like, it was mostly rap because of my skin color, because everybody's like, okay, I'm black, so I'm going to listen to rap music or hip hop and R&B. And so it's like, if there was any rock in hip hop, I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's how come I liked uh, 99 Problem, because it was a rap song, but there was a rock instrumentation. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be fun. And eventually, I found this on this radio right here. Eventually, I heard of this song called American Idiot, and it just blew my mind. Again, this is grade 7. This is 2004. I was in elementary school. And I'm like, oh god, this is actually really amazing. And I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. And eventually that bled into Boulevard of Broken Dreams, and then Holiday, Wake Me Up When September Ends, and then what was it? Jesus of Suburbia, and I really loved those albums. And I remember a classmate ended up liking ended up buying that album, American 80, and I'm like, oh, can you play Holiday? And he never did it for me. I'm like, oh man. So I guess I'm gonna have to listen to it on the radio, but they're not gonna play it all that much. So eventually, I bought American Idiot. Now, before that, I didn't know much about Green Day. Um, well, I knew as much about Green Day as everybody else through that Time of Your Life um, song, because it's a graduation song and it's been overplayed to death. I'm gonna be honest. Everybody knows it's been overplayed to death, and that's as far as I went. Oh, and I did a stupid thing. Um, Back when I was like, it was still around when American Idiot was really popular, and I was at Best Buy, and it was back when you could listen to albums through like the CD thing. If you scan the CD case, you can listen to an album, and I thought that was really cool. But I remember one day looking over Green Day sound albums, and the only album they had at that point, well, because American Idiot pretty much sold out, was Warning, and I thought, ew, Warning. Now this is back when I thought like the rest of their because I was under the impression that the rest of their albums before American Idiot weren't that good, and I'm like, what's Warning? This is just ew. Like, why? How come if I haven't heard of this album, that means it's bad. That's the mentality I had. Now, looking back at this, I'm like, oh crap. Apparently, Warning is their best album. It's extremely underrated. Now I can't find the album anywhere. I have like a few of their albums right now, but I can't find Warning, because apparently if you like Nimrod, you'll really like Warning, and I really love Nimrod. Um, and I'll get to Nimrod when I get to albums and memories. But if I don't say this right now, I'm going to say it right now about Nimrod. Nimrod is my favorite Green Day album, and it's also my happy album. I don't know what. Maybe it's because it's lighter and softer, but it is my happy album, and it's my favorite. And it's actually really odd, but I'll get to that later. Later in this video, just in case. But I remember listening to the album over and over again until I just got tired. Like, I bought the album like when I was in high school, and I was just like, oh, this is gonna be awesome, and I really, really enjoyed the album. And then I actually had to move on. Like, I remember like throughout high school, I listened to like I was more of a singles guy in terms of Green Day. Like, at that point, I only had like American Idiot, and that's it. I knew songs like what was it, Hitchin' a Ride and Warning, and what was it called? Hitchin' a Ride, Warning, Jaded, um, Brain Stew, Walking Contradiction. I knew the singles throughout the 3 albums before that. And I remember like, and I could play them on this. Like, the easiest song to play on bass guitar is Brain Stew, because it's pretty much just what's it called? Like they're out like playing Brain Stew on bass is pretty much just, you know, the E chord. It's like 5-5, 3-3, 2-2, 1-1, open, 5-5, and when it gets to the end, it's just a variation. It's like 5-5, 5-5, 5-5, 5-5, 3-3, 3-3. Okay, it's like yeah, this is pretty much it. It's like man. Okay, hold on. It's like 5-5, 3-3, 2-2, 1-1, 0-0, and then the variation is like 5-5, 5-5, 5-5, 5-5, 3-3, 3-3, 3-3, 3-3, 2-2-2-2-2-2-2-1-1-1-1-1-1. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, Brain Stew is like the easiest song to play on bass, because it's just like got what on like just one string, and it's just kind of repetitive, but it's actually really catchy with a variation at the end, of course. And I remember like playing Green Day on this guy right here, who I named Teresa, and I just played it over and over again. And at one point I actually could play the entire, well, with the exception of the last two songs, I could play the entire Green Day's American Idiot album on this. Like, that's how really involved I was. Like, I got pretty much the entire, every single song on that album on bass tab, and I just played it constantly. Now, I forgot a few things, but I still remember knowing how to play American Idiot and Boulevard of Broken Dreams, and I think I know how to play Wake Me Up When September Ends. But other than that, I kind of forgot. Like, it's been lost in the sense of time because I was either too busy or I just remembered a lot of things to play on bass, and I wanted to. But but other than that, it was mostly just various Green Day songs from the last three albums, and I didn't really know about Dookie until I watched like, like a couple of like music videos here and there. But here's what happened. I didn't know what Dookie was until my last year of high school. Like, I was about to go into college. Like, I was a couple of months into college, and at one point, um, I think it was like a few months before 21st Century Breakdown came out. Um, like about, I don't know, 6 months. And I remember like there was like on the Fuse channel, I think it was called, where at one point they were doing the top 20 best Green Day music videos, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna watch this. And I remember watching, I'm like, oh, some of these songs I never heard of, but these are really good. And I'm like, okay, I know about Basket Case. I know what Basket Case is, and I know when I come around, because I would have liked this. It actually really reminds me. The album came out in the '90s, but it actually really reminds me of the '90s, because I just when I come around actually just reminds me, like, if I were a pure teenager, like if I was 17 years old and listening to this album, or I wouldn't really listen to the song. Actually, I wouldn't really listen to the song even when I was a teenager in 1994 or 5, because I would be listening to other songs. I'd be listening to hip hop back then. But yeah, I remember like it reminds me of just being in high school. If I was in high school in the '90s and this song would be playing in my head, I would know probably. But the thing is, I didn't like every other song. I'm like, okay, I know about the song. I know what Brain Stew and Jaded was. But the song that really, really surprised me was Welcome to Paradise. And I remember watching the video one day or one night, and I was like, okay, this is actually going to be really fun. This is going to be okay. And I remember it was like, okay, this is actually a really high energy song. And then what really blew my mind was the bass solo. And I'm like, I remember the first time I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my god, what is this? And I'm just looking at it, I'm just like looking closer. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is like blowing my mind. This is how I was in elementary school. I didn't know bass solos could be that fast. Like, I was watching a music video and I'm watching Mike Dirnt just playing the bass, and I'm like, how is he doing that? How is he just picking the bass like that? And he's going really fast. And I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I actually have to download this song and put it on my MP3. And throughout the entirety of just listening, pretty much the entirety of that day, I just listened to that song, particularly that bass part. I'm like, this is this is goddamn awesome. This whole thing is goddamn awesome. Like the bass solo, it just goes faster and faster. I'm like, oh my god. And I remember like, oh my god, this is before like even though I'm like, oh my god, this is great, this is great, this is great. Like I'm actually like freaking out. I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome. This whole thing is awesome. And what was it? 3 months later, I was in college, and I ended up buying Dookie, which is the third album I ever bought in my college years. And I remember like, holy crap, this is actually really, really well done. This is actually really good. It's a bit dated, sure, in terms of because it came out in the '90s, so it's '90s as hell. But it's like, yeah, this is actually a really good album. And yeah, eventually I got 21st Century Breakdown, which I'm like, oh, this is actually, at one point I actually said that this was my favorite Green Day album, 21st Century Breakdown. But I'll get to that, and I remember, but even back when I used to like listen to 21st Century Breakdown constantly, even then I'm like, oh, this is a great album. This is a great album. 21 Guns is playing. Skip. This is a great album. This is great. I don't like 21 Guns. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I do not like 21 Guns because I'm pretty sure it's riding the high of Boulevard of Broken Dreams of being a single on this playing on the radio. Like Boulevard of Broken Dreams was good because it was pretty much like it's like one of their little songs which actually comes by really it seems earnest. Boulevard of Broken Dreams seems earnest. Sure, I make fun of the lyrics a lot, but it actually seems earnest. 21 Guns is pretty much like I feel like it's trying to ride the coattails of Boulevard of Broken Dreams and just being like not good. I'm like, oh god. And I actually did kind of like the song at that point, mostly because I had a bit of a thing for Billy Joe Armstrong. I mean, who didn't? Because Billy Joe Armstrong, am I right? And Mike Dirnt is my third favorite bassist of all time. And Trey Cool, awesome drummer. But eventually I grew out of 21st Century Breakdown, and I kind of dropped off of Green Day a little bit. And I remember when they came out with their trilogy, I'm like, oh, this is actually really good. They're going to come out with 3 albums, like, in a row. Not in a row, but at separate times, like 3 months apart. And, but the thing was, like, this came out back my first during my first year of when I started working. And, I was gonna get their first album, which was Uno, but here's the thing: my brain is like, dude, Kareem, don't do it. I'm like, wait, what's going on? I was like, well, you don't have enough room in your CD case. I'm like, I mean, yeah, but I really want to get maybe the first album, and it's like, don't do it. I don't know why. It's like, don't do it, and it's like, well, but why? It's like, just don't do it. Just go as it is. Buy anything else. Just don't buy anything from the trilogy. I'm like, I mean, okay, I won't do it. And then people are like, yeah, no. Even Billy Joe and the band are like, yeah, the trilogy doesn't count. Just go from 21st Century Breakdown to Revolution Radio. And it's like, okay, fine. So eventually I bought Revolution Radio, and I really enjoyed that album. Eventually I'll listen to American Idiot, 21st Century Breakdown, and Revolution Radio in a row just to see how it actually is. I mean, 21st Century Breakdown is a bit of a sophomore slump, but not every album has to have a good. Every album has its flaws. Like every trilogy has its flaws, and flaws. I remember. So back when I used to watch Video on Trial, one guy actually was talking about one of their music videos, and it was during the verdict when he was like, I sentenced you to make 3 crappy albums and 1 really awesome one. And it's like, well, he's wrong. He was wrong about that, but he was wrong back then, but he was right now. Because here's the thing, he was talking about like the crappy albums he was talking about was Insomniac, Nimrod, and Warning, and those are the crappy albums he thought about. And then he talked about him. He said American Idiot is going to be really wicked, and it's like, well, not true. He's like, no, that's not true. Well, Insomniac is a bit samey sounding, I'll admit, compared to Dookie. Thank God I bought Nimrod around the same time because that is an amazing album. And again, I heard Warning is amazing and underrated. But he was right about what happened at this point of the decade because the trilogy was not good, not that great. There are some moments here and there, but it was just mostly samey sounding and it was just repetitive and it's not that good. But Revolution Radio is actually a really good step forward. So in a way, he was wrong, but it was hilarious in hindsight. Because like, well, the trilogy was not great. It's like it's not. But anyway, more about Green Day. Well, here's the thing. I kind of dropped off with them a little bit before Revolution Radio, and then I heard about the Rock Critic, and I was like, okay, I want to know how this is. And he kept talking about this album called Insomniac. I'm like, okay, I got this. I really want to get this album because I heard it was darker and edgier. What I kept ignoring was the fact that it sounded like Dookie, a little bit too much like Dookie. I'm like, whatever. I want a darker and edgier version. Give me the darker and edgier version of Dookie. I don't care. And it's like, I remember being with my friend in Toronto, and I was at a music store, and I was like, okay, what's this? Oh my god, I found Insomniac. And then I saw the next album, which was Nimrod. I'm like, okay, I mean, well, I'm here, I might as well get Nimrod. I mean, whatever. And I had no expectations about it. So I got home late. I couldn't listen to it immediately. Shoo, shoo. So I couldn't listen to it immediately, so I went to bed and I woke up really early and I listened to Insomniac, being really, really excited. And then I was like, okay, I don't remember a lot of the songs. I remember moments because I listened to the songs beforehand, but I don't remember. Actually don't remember much. I don't actually remember much about Insomniac. And so I'm like, okay, I might as well listen to Nimrod. And then I listened to Nimrod. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. And I'm like, oh my god, thank god I ended up buying Nimrod along with Insomniac. Like, now I only listen to Insomniac, what, 3 times, and then Nimrod, I, I only have to hear, like, twice. And I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. I know this, like, I know a lot of the songs. Like, some of the songs just pop into my head immediately. Like, The Grouch, like, that's one of my favorite songs. And I remember, like, because it was Nimrod is so different from their other albums. Like, yeah, Dookie is great, but it pales in comparison to Nimrod, in my opinion. Like Nimrod, again, I don't know if I'm gonna say this in the next album, the Memories episode, when I eventually get to it. But again, Nimrod is my happy album. It's my favorite Green Day album, and I really enjoy like how much effort it was put into it. Like it blends in so many different genres. It's not just pop punk. It's pretty much like it has ska influences. It has surf rock influences. It has like pure punk influences. And actually, for some reason, it gets me like so pumped up in terms of like how it is. And of course, like sometimes whenever I listen to the album, I skip "Time of Your Life" because I heard it so many times, like the rest of the world. But it's like the rest, like the entire album is just such a trip to listen to. Like it was so much like I actually recommended this album to my dentist because it's like, oh, she's heard of like American Idiot and Dookie, but Nimrod is a gosh darn trip. It is actually a really good album, and I can't wait to talk about it more. I have to stop talking about it because I just want to. And as for Warning, I want to get that album because again, apparently, if I really like Nimrod, I really like Warning because I can't. I'm trying to find it everywhere, but I can't find it. I don't want to order it online because that will mean I have to wait, and the waiting is going to be waned. I'd rather just listen. I don't really listen to CDs. I don't really buy CDs online. I want to listen to. I just want to buy it at the store. That's pretty much me. That's pretty much me. I want to buy it at the store. I want to buy CDs at the store so I can go home and listen to it immediately, not wait 3 or 5 days or 3 to 5 weeks. I just want to listen to it immediately when I actually have that burning passion to listen to it. So yeah, Green Day has inspired me to like like get into more pop. I mean pop punk. Well, my God, I just want to thank that American Idiot song because again, that song blew me away. I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, oh my God, this is actually a really good revolution. Like not a revolution song, but it was revolutionary to me, and I'm pretty sure everybody was blown away by the song. Almost 3 minutes of pure amazement. That's pretty much how I like figured. And yeah, that's pretty much how I got into Green Day. Just their first like American Idiot just so happened to be on the radio back in 2004, and I remember just in this room just rocking me out, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I'm like, I don't think they can top this. And then I heard his Holiday. I'm like, yes, this is amazing. I really like this. I'm like, I was all over the goddamn floor over this. And so, yeah, eventually I will get to another Green Day album on Albums and Memories. And who knows, maybe I'll talk about it on another vlog or something. Um, so that's pretty much how I got into Green Day. And that's pretty much it. And I'm going to do another poll in which I'll talk about a musician or musicians that I want to talk about for a vlog. So if you want, I'll just, yeah, yeah, I'm just gonna talk next musician. I'm gonna just put up another poll and see which musician I'll talk about later. If I don't talk about another person, then until then, until I do another one of these, I will talk to you another time. Thank you.